Okay, so today we are here for our webinar Finding the Why and Dropping the How. So, let me tell you something related to my life, and you may take away what resonates with you. So, when I was a small child, like a really small, and people used to ask me, what will you become? What is your life goal? And I would tell them that I want to become a doctor. And then they would ask me, why do you want to become a doctor? And I would tell them because that will make my father proud. Then, gradually, as I grew up, my father got interested in Vastu, and he was a very good Vastu consultant. And he used to draft, uh, mm, projects for various residential work or for commercial work. And people used to come to him with big, chart papers with drawings on it, the blueprint of the how the building is going to look like and what direction holds which kind of room. And then he would mark it with pencils and he would change the setup or he would make some corrections. And then they would again go and redo it and bring that paper again with the changes and the thing. At that time, AutoCAD was not available. Later, AutoCAD happened, and then it made it very easy for him. However, he wasn't very much educated and he was technologically challenged because he simply could not understand the technology. So he always needs some help and he had to translate everything to make them understand. And he would sit hours with an architect who will design the entire blueprint on AutoCAD. And at that time, I changed my goal. I said, now I will become an architect. Because why? Because that way I can be some use to my father. It will make him proud. So that happened. And then in my plus two, when we were supposed to take the subjects, I went to Bella Balika Vidyapith Pilani and they refused to give me science because in 10th I had scored very less. And they asked me to sign up for commerce or else take the entire responsibility of my results. I was quite naive, hardly 14, 15 years of age, or maybe 16. And this was the first time I had moved out of the home. My parents have used their good amount of their savings to get me admitted in a boarding school just because I wished so. So I could not let them down, and I decided that I will become trained in commerce. I will do MBA. Again, I changed my goal. And when people ask me, why do you want to do MBA? And I would tell them, that way I could head a big corporate and that will make my father proud. I did very well in my education later on in my academics. I was presented with a gold medal from different university heads from the Ghanas. And I got a good placement opportunity. So I that was 2009, the moment the subprime crisis hit. And there weren't very good opportunities in the job. But since I was a very good student and I had good intellect, I was selected in a company which was then named as Blue Star. I was selected as a financial advisor there, and I was over the moon. And I will recall it very clearly that I came home very happy, very excited, and told my parents that I got the job in this company and this is the package. And they simply told me that you're not going to work because we are seeing a groom for you and we'll get you married very soon. I was like shaken and quite literally taken aback by the decision because I felt after so many years of hard work, now I could make my parents proud. And now they have decided something else for me. So, but since it made them happy, I decided that I will do whatever they suggest. And those days, biodatas used to come in black and white paper. And one of the biodatas was screened. And so I got two biodatas. The moment my pictures and by the entire biodata with the proposal photograph was launched in the marriage market, I got two biodatas in response, and one of them was selected. And I was married into a very conservative, very orthodox Marwari family where women are not supposed to step out of the kitchen. And I remember when my father was doing my vidai, he was sending me off with my husband into a new house, into a new location, into a new family. He said one thing to me that don't bring my name down. Don't bring any bad name to my upbringing. And that was a very emotional moment for me because he didn't ask me to stay happy. Rather, he asked me to not to do anything which could question his upbringing. And at that moment, I decided that if this is what he wants from me, I'll do that. And so I tried a lot adjusting into this new household, which was very different in terms of lifestyle, in terms of living standards from my birth family. My husband's family was a joint family, and women were not supposed to move out of the kitchen. There was this pallu always on the head, the way you would see in any typical Indian television, and all the kind of games which Hindi drama serials show you. All kind of games used to, all kind of that dirty politics was there. And even though I adjusted well, in a sense that I fit in, I would stay quiet. I would not say anything much. Whatever someone would say, I will say, okay, I'll do this. So I did fit in, but I never felt I belonged. And life went on. There were lots of ups and lot many downs. And because of so much of family politics and my inability to speak up my own, I started having frequent fights with my partner, and then things got really bad. And I was on depression. For 6 months, I was on bed. I was given only washroom privileges, but I wasn't allowed to lock the door because I could collapse because I would collapse at any moment. So I wasn't even allowed to lock the washroom door. And things were that way gradually. I was sent to my parents' house for 6, 7 months. I recovered, my health started feeling better, and then I returned back to my in law's place. But then by that time, I had lost the zeal for my life. The person who was a go getter, who was very ambitious, who grabbed the placement award, who was awarded a gold medal, is now someone whom she doesn't even recognize. Like when I remember the time very clearly when I would see my reflection in the mirror, I couldn't even feel my own self. I would feel that a stranger, a lifeless body is standing here. Then as people suggest in India, that when marriage is going through some difficult times, it is the best time to have children. So, and all those antidepressants had blurred my thought process. So I simply didn't know what to do. I didn't have any mind of my own. And I conceived my first child, and then it was all about him, that I have to take care of my child, I have to live for my child. Then, after 3 years or something, I conceived for the second time. And by this time, by the time my second child was born, I was completely lost. I simply did not know what I am supposed to do, why God has given me this life. Because during those difficult years, I tried to attempt suicide. Not once, twice, but thrice. And all the attempts were failed, thankfully. So I would question that, I would question God, and I would stare at the blank walls. I would stare in the ceiling because the kids will not sleep. So I will just take them in my lap and I would sit for the whole night just rocking them. And I would question myself that why didn't I die? Why God had saved me, not once, twice, but all the three times. And I would not get any answer. The days when I would do deep cleaning and I would get that file where all my certificates were, tears would start flowing from my eyes because I simply couldn't recognize that this was me as well. I stopped talking to all my friends from my academic days because the first question they would ask was, Sneha, how could you? I mean, how could you live this kind of life? You were so much talented and all. And they were a bit surprised. My teachers used to call me and message me, and then I stopped talking to them as well. I changed my phone numbers. And I was just living one day at a time. But then that deep void inside me did not let me live as well. And even after giving birth to two children, I started contemplating suicide again. And that was the time I thought that I really needed help because my kids dependent on me. At that time, my younger one was not even 2 years old. So I went to my husband and told him, but because of the differences we had and the kind of relationship we shared, he simply didn't believe that I need any help. He said that you were always depressed, you were always sad and pessimistic, so I don't think you need any kind of help. But then I knew deep down that something is wrong here. So without informing him, without informing any of my family members, I met my therapist and I started my inner work. After 2 years of inner work, when I had calmed down a lot, when I could sense that peace inside me, I told him one day that, even though I'm fitting in everywhere, I don't feel I belong anywhere. I simply don't know why God has given me this human form. This human form is supposed to be the best creation of the Almighty. And I simply don't value this life anymore. Though I do not have any self harming thoughts as of now, but I still question my existence. And he has witnessed my journey so closely. And then he said that, what would you like to do? And I said, I don't want to earn big money. Money doesn't appeal me. But one thing which I truly want to do is I don't want to be forgotten.
Sorry.
I said, I don't want to be forgotten. I had done a lot of intergenerational work by then, and I knew all my ancestors had not lived a very good life, and many of them died untimely, even in their 20s. And all of their dreams and desires for their life were not fulfilled. None of them lived a fulfilled life in my entire paternal family or maternal family for that matter. So I just told him that one thing I strongly feel is that I don't want to be forgotten. During that time, one of my father's friend passed away, and he was a very sociable man, very socially active. And I remember he used to live in Delhi, my father's friend, and my father came from our hometown to Delhi for the last rites, and he stayed there for 2 days at my place, and he would go and visit for the prayer meetings. And all the time when he was here in my house, he would just recall how great his friend was. And then one day he bought a newspaper, and the entire newspaper, there were 3 4 pages which were filled with different kind of messages and obituary messages, and all of them regretting for the loss. And seeing all those messages, I felt so small. I felt that one day I would just die and no one would remember me. And this was like something, even today, when I'm speaking this, I could still feel that heaviness inside me. So this incident happened during that time only, and I told my therapist that I simply don't want to be forgotten. I don't know what my purpose is, but I don't want to be forgotten. I mean, I want to leave a legacy behind. And that time, my therapist told me, why don't you consider therapy as a profession? And I told him that I keep on cribbing for my life. How could I become a therapist? And he said, you don't know how far you have come, and you just think over it, and we'll continue doing the work, and let's see what happens next if something unfolds for you. And he planted this seed inside my head, and the next 6 months we keep on doing my inner work. We keep on exploring different layers, and by that time I was comfortable with this idea. So he gave me financial help because I didn't had money, and my family wasn't knowing about my therapy work. So he was not only taking all the sessions without money, because he believed that one day I'll be able to pay him back. And at that point of time, I simply didn't have any clue. But he took that leap of faith, and then he took another leap of faith, and he paid for my courses. And I went through the entire course. Surprisingly, it came very easy to me because of all the inner work I had done. And the course, which was supposed to be completed in 6 months or plus, I was able to complete it and the entire case studies and all within 3 months. Then I went to the second course and the advanced courses on nervous system work. So I did all of it. Sometimes he used to pay the money, sometimes I would arrange money from my friends. Sometimes my teacher would pay that fees for me. The only thing which I knew was that I was liking this work. It was giving me joy. It was giving me a sense of accomplishment and recognition. And though everything was falling in place, I still hadn't figured out my why. And after starting my practice professionally, I did extremely well. I was able to pay off the entire loan which my therapist had given to me, as well as all the pay the fees of the courses which were given by different people. Yet I haven't found out my why. I just knew that I liked this work. And then one day, when I was working with a client who had severe depression and she was going through a very difficult time because she has gone through multiple sexual abuses and she was contemplating suicide at that point of time when she chose to work with me. And after working with her for almost 20 weeks, one day she sent me a voice message. And the voice messages, I still have that message, and I still get very emotional when I listen to it. And in that voice message, she was crying and she was thanking me profusely. And she was telling me how she has started loving her life, how she has made peace with her past. And she also told me how she is now becoming a therapist because I gave her that hope. And then she told me one thing, that no matter what happens, I will never forget you. I will always remember you as the person, as an angel who was sent by God for me. And then now she is eventually a therapist. She is doing good. And that voice message stayed with me. And in that message, I realized my why. And my why was to give hope to every person I encounter. Because it is this hope that keeps them alive, that propels them into new directions, that brings out the versions of them which they never thought they had in them. And I stayed with this why. The moment this why was clear to me, everything else fall into place. I mean, I had so many plans for my life, from becoming a doctor to then architect and then a big corporate person to a housewife to a mother to a lifeless. I mean, we have so many plans for our lives, but life rarely happens the way we plan. Sometimes the circumstances does not allow us. Sometimes we are lost. Sometimes something else shows up and our decisions, our priorities take a back seat. And yet, in all those moments, when we are asked to return or redirect ourselves, we don't stay connected to our whys. We are too caught up in figuring out the house. Now what? Now what? What next? Or cribbing about everything which is not working. That we simply forget that why we were here. What made us choose this decision, chase this dream, chase this goal. And the moment we center ourselves to our why, we eventually try and figure out something definitely happens, and something which is very out of the blue, something which we never thought would happen. And then things just start falling in place. However, we are not able to figure out. Kindly mute your devices. Thank you. We are not able to figure out our why, and we stay stuck in how because we try to control. We try to control our lives because we think that we know the best. We try to control our lives because there is an inherent fear inside us that if this doesn't happen, we'll not have the life we want. Sometimes we are so fixated on the how that we don't even think of the long term goal, the long term vision but we have. Like when I was reading CJ's book, he shared how people are so caught up in this idea of cracking GMAT. that they simply forget that why they were preparing for this in the first hand. They just wanted a better life, a more fulfilling life, a high paying job. And one of the ways was getting a good company, working for a good company, which could happen when they get admission in good colleges because that increases their prospects of working in a top notch company and fulfilling their dreams. And one of the ways for getting admission in a good premier institute is cracking GMAT. But all these were just the steps. The ultimate goal was living a fulfilled life, a happy life, a contented life. But we are so fixated on working out the how that we simply do not open ourselves for the different possibilities that could be there, which could lead us to our end goal, to the vision, to the larger vision, to our why. And we remain fixated on our house because we are scared and therefore we try to control things. And that happens because deep inside we fear failure. And if we just question ourselves, why do we fear failures? What will happen if I fail? This question, which I ask every time with my one on one clients, what will happen if this happens? What is the worst part of this? And people will say that, if I fail, people will not love me, will not respect me. I would be made fun of. People will shame me and judge me. And then I ask them, what is the worst part of being shamed, being judged? And they would say that I would leave, I would be left alone. I would not be able to live with respect. And then I would say, ask them, what is the worst part of living alone? And the question always have similar answers, if not the exact same words, that no one would love me. I would live a half life. I would remain unloved, as if the only way to get love is passing those very benchmarks of getting into a big institute, finding the best job, earning well. I mean, these could be benchmarks or some deciding factors or measuring factors for that matter for a good life, but it cannot be a metrics for getting love because I am loved because I exist. It's as simple as that. Why do I need to complicate that a fulfilled life will give me love? A good paycheck will give me love, will make me happy. I will have someone with whom I can share this. Well, that's not true. I have so many multimillionaire clients who are filthy rich, and yet they do not have anyone to share this life with. They do not feel belonged, they do not feel valued enough, even though they have a family, a spouse, children, everything else, as per the world. And this void of not being loved, of not living a happy life, does not come because of the challenges we face, or if we are not able to stick to the process which we have decided. This feeling comes because of the deep void inside us. Because somewhere in our childhood, we were asked to believe that performance gives us love, that Love is conditional. And it could be in very simple sentences like, if you do this, I will give you this. And for a child, giving that object or receiving that object was the way they would take love. I mean, I guess almost all of us have gone through this when our parents used to say, with all the good intentions, they would like us to motivate by, if you score this much, I will give you this. If you do this, I will allow you this. And these conversations happened so regularly that we started believing that love is conditional. Love is based on achievements and performance. Happiness is based on achievements and performance because love, what essentially love gives, is courage and happiness. And we are so married to this idea of how we can experience this happiness, how we can experience this love, that we don't even try to question why we want to chase it in the first place. So, when all of you here are preparing for GMAT, and it's difficult with the workload you have, the responsibilities you bear, the working style, the working environment, the responsibilities of family, of the professional front, on the professional front, as well as your own expectations from yourself. Everything is making it so complicated. So today, I want you to reassess what is your why. If you don't get married to the house, if you don't get married to this is the only way, if you don't get married to the process, what is your why? And I will be taking you through a guided meditation first, which will allow you to ground yourself, and then I will take you through a journaling exercise. So, if possible, please come on camera and drink some water and get some sheets of paper and a pen. We'll start in the next 1 minute. Let me know when you are ready. Some sheets of paper, a pen, and a glass of water. Let me know when you are ready so that we can start. If someone can send me a message, or okay, RP is ready. What about others? Okay, okay, great. Is it possible for any of you to come on camera? Because that way the guided meditation becomes easier because I can see your facial expressions. Okay, so we'll start. If you are sitting on chair, ensure that your feet is on the ground. You're not wearing any slippers or footwears for that matter. There is a space between your knees and behind your knees. Okay? And your back is well rested. If you're sitting on bed cross-legged, ensure that you widen the seat so that your pelvic floor is opened and you have a backrest. Okay? And I will take you through a breathing exercise followed by some grounding and then some guided meditation. And without questioning it, without analyzing it, or without giving into your rational mind, just stay with the process and a lot of insights can emerge. Okay? If you just allow yourself to be in the process. So close your eyes, hands on your thighs, palm facing upwards, and inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Keep on inhaling and exhaling. Become aware of your breath as your breath travels from your nostrils towards your forehead, to your crown, to the back of your head. Feel your breath in your entire head. Feel it in your eyes, your cheeks, nose, lips, your entire face. Keep on inhaling and exhaling as your focus moves towards your throat and your neck. Keep on breathing, inhaling and exhaling at a comfortable pace as your focus brings towards you your shoulders. Keep on inhaling and exhaling as your shoulders starts relaxing. Inhale and exhale. Breathing in and out. Keep on inhaling and exhaling. Now feel the expansion and contraction of your lungs in your chest. As you inhale, feel that expansion, and as you exhale, feel the contraction. Keep on inhaling and exhaling as your awareness moves towards your upper abdomen. Breathe in and out. Keep on inhaling and exhaling as your focus now shifts towards your lower abdomen. Feel the inhalation and exhalation, the way your belly expands and contracts. Keep on inhaling and exhaling, visualizing your upper back, your middle back, and your lower back. Feel your breath relaxing your entire back, your entire spinal cord, and your back muscles. Inhale and exhale. Keep on inhaling and exhaling as your focus moves towards your pelvic floor and your genitals. Breathe in and breathe out. Keep on inhaling and exhaling as your focus moves towards your thighs, your knees, your shin bone and calf muscles, your ankles, feet, and your toes. Keep on breathing, inhaling and exhaling, becoming fully aware of your body. And as you become fully aware of your body, I want you to visualize yourself in a room. This is the room of the present moment. It could be an imaginary space, or it could be the room in which you are currently sitting, or it could be a place from your past. And this room marks the current moment, that is 4th of August, 5:45 p.m. IST. And as you see this room, become aware of the moment of the day, the lighting, the overall vibe which you feel in this place. And as you just scan this room, on the right side, at the corner, you will find 10 stairs moving towards the floor, which is just above it. With 3 deep inhalation and exhalation, you will reach the base of the stairs. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Keep on inhaling and exhaling, and now you have reached the base of the stairs. In front of you, there are 10 stairs moving upwards. Together, we will take a step as I keep on counting. And at the end of the 10th stair, there is a big door which is closed as of now. So let's start boarding these stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 stairs are still left. We are 50% there. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We have reached the top of the staircase. And there is this big door right in front of you. Just take some moments and notice this door. How does the door look like? How ready are you to explore what lies behind this door? Check in your body how it feels to be here. Because now you are in 2034, 10 years ahead, 10 years down the line. And this door opens up and you step into 2034. What kind of place does it look like? And as you just stay there, you will witness how your life looks like in 2034, 10 years down the line. You may get glimpses of how your daily schedule is supposed to be. What time do you wake up? What do you do? How do you start your day? Who is living with you? What kind of house do you live in? What kind of work do you do? What kind of money do you make? What is your daily schedule? And as you just keep on breathing, you will see your daily schedule playing just like a movie. And you'll see yourself working and just get a feel of how does it feel here. Are you content? Are you happy? Are you living the life you always thought you should? Is it similar to your dream life, the life which you thought you would be living? Or is it different? How satisfied are you from the choices you have made? See what are your regrets in your life. Just have an understanding of all of it. Let it all flow. You don't have to analyze it, logicalize it, or rationalize it for that matter. Just feel it in your body. And now, the future version of you, the way you would look like in 2034, is standing right in front of you. And this future version of you has to say something to you. And what does he or she says? What message would this future version of you like to give you? The decisions which they have made over the course of years, how it all turned out, their deepest regrets, their biggest lessons, the moments of euphoria and joy, the moments of loneliness and despair. They will share it with you. Listen to them carefully. And as they speak up, get an idea of how does it all make you feel. Have this conversation, take your time. What would they like have done differently and what could have been done to change things, to not have the regrets they have? Because looking back, you can connect the dots. So, this future version of you can tell you exactly what mistakes they have done or what could have been done. Just get an idea of all of it. In 2, 3 minutes, this conversation would be over. So, listen intently with your heart and not from your ears. Let the voice of your subconscious reach out to you. And now, as they share, take some moments to register and listen to what exactly they want to communicate. And specifically ask this question: if given a chance, what they would like to change in their lives. What would they like to do differently? And now, once you receive your answers, turn back and you will face that door again through which you have entered this fall. Just take a look at this door. Does it look the same or does it feel any different? Behind this door are the 10 stairs which you have climbed up to reach here, and now you will be climbing it down. So just become aware of the door. Does it look any different from the time when you have entered here? Mentally open the door and you are at the top of the staircase, and we will be slowly moving down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we have reached the base of the stairs to 2024, August 4th, 5:55 p.m. And come to the present room and see, does this room look any different than before? Do you feel any different than before? And what would you like to take away from this entire experience? Gently, very gently, start moving your toes and your fingers. Become aware of the seat on which you are sitting, the folds of the fabric on your body, and slowly, very slowly, come back to the here and now. Gently open your eyes and start writing whatever your experience was without stopping. Do not stop your pen, just keep on writing. And let the insights emerge. You don't have to share it with anyone, so be brutally honest with yourself. Let me know when you have written all of it. Take your time, there is no rush. Let all of it flow through your pen. Let me know if any of you have done or would like to share, or do you have some questions? Yes, Khushbu.
Hey, hi Sneha.
Hi.
So, just wanted to share my experience. So, this 10-minute activity, I had a mixed kind of a feeling. I will tell you how was it. So, when like during the activity, when I saw my future self, uh, it felt good. I was living the life which I aspired for, right? Everything was good. But when you said that the future self told me about the sacrifices she has made during the journey, that was something kind of a eye opener for me, because it happens that we always try to look for our, planning future life, running towards our goals, thinking about what I'll do tomorrow rather than being in present self in the moment. So so I had a two things, two realization here. Definitely one has to have a goal, and being a goal oriented person, that gives us a purpose of being in the life, that what I'm supposed to do, what are my goals, and definitely finding the why part as well. But during this journey, I forgotten myself, like when this conversation happened. So that was telling me that, to be aware of being connect with yourself, and definitely with the surrounding, whatever joy or happiness or things which I am sacrificing right now, can be in a balanced way. Definitely, I right now in a GMAT journey. Definitely, I can't, um, because of the hectic pressure. Definitely, I can't do everything, but it doesn't feel like I should sacrifice my daily life in a way that I do not feel content. And so that's kind of a message to me, that being a goal oriented but connected with self and in a balanced way, so that when I see my 10 years future, or whenever that will happen, I shouldn't be in a position to be in a grudging phase, that okay, I missed that phase, or I should have done it. So that grudges shouldn't be there, and to live in a better way. So that was my
So
experience.
thank you for sharing this, Khushbu, because this is so true that while we are creating a better future, we often forget to live in the present. And Khushbu, then I have an exercise for you, and you can explore this further. And I would really recommend that to you. Is even though your schedule is hectic, okay, your work life doesn't allow you much time, but how could you make this journey easy for you? Question one: how could you make this journey easy for you? And question number two: what are the three things which you can include in your daily routine which will keep you grounded in the present moment? Okay. And maybe having those grounding exercises which can allow you to be in the present moment. It could be as simple as just, having 30 minutes sipping tea and watching from your balcony everything in it. It could be as simple as that. Or it could be just having 15-20 minutes bath without worrying, without hustling. Or it could be listening to music every single night without faith. Whatever it is for you, try to find three different ways through which you can stay connected in your present. Feel that you are living too. You're not chasing an end goal, rather, you are enjoying the journey. Okay. And the first question, how can you make it easy for yourself?
Um, yes, because sometimes we make it too harsh on ourselves. Like, instead of worrying about external pressure, I think inner self critic is more, uh, it makes things tougher. So I feel like easy journey would be in a sense that shouldn't doubt self again and again, and be uh, rather than have a positive mindset that okay, it's kind of a journey, and if I do it in a pressure scenario, then definitely it will take a longer time, and I will not enjoy it. And if I make it more I wouldn't say simpler, but not difficult, then I would rather enjoy, and not feel much pressure to be in a uh, rush phase. So yes, I also agree that these points were being told during CJ session as well. So whenever we do our questions or any activity, so we always try to find answers rather than thinking that okay, I will learn something new for the day. So that thought has remained with me, but sometimes we forget as well, because of I need to do these many questions, so sometimes we forget how we should do our activity or questions, whatever. So some things we need to keep remind. So he also told us that okay, you can write some things on your whiteboard in front of you and keep seeing these again and again. Okay, you have the target, but the kind of pattern which I am following, I can stop it by seeing it again and again. Okay, I need to remind myself, okay, that this I cannot repeat it, or so yeah, these things might be helpful.
Yeah. And you have also mentioned a very important point of having those inner critical voices. And if you will just explore those voices, it is usually the voice of your parent when you were a child. For example, don't waste time. You need to study instead of relaxing. And I mean, they are just the variations of your parents' voices, which is there in your subconscious, which becomes your inner critic as you grow up. And what you can truly do is remind yourself in those moments when the inner critic gets stronger. Like literally, I do it daily. I literally sit on my chair, put a hand on my chest, on my heart chakra, and I take deep inhalation and exhalation, and I remind myself it was then, it's not now. I am an adult and I can decide how I'm going to live my life. If I'm not enjoying the process, how I'm going to enjoy the destination. And by grounding myself, by reminding myself that those voices belongs to the past, when I was a child, when love was very conditional, very subjective, I come to my adult self very centered, very grounded. And then when I approach the process, it becomes fairly easy. Okay. Thank you so much, Kushbu, for sharing this. Rama, you just raised your hand.
Yes, Sneha.
Hi.
So I have gone through the exercise. So I felt so much relaxing while the exercise was going on. So I started contemplating everything. So my doubt is like I can also share what I got in the meditation process.
Mhm.
Like I'll be taking care of my father and mother in a better way. So supporting family, living in uh, a good community where I have built good relationship with people around me. So this is what I got when I started through the guided meditation process. But this is what I was thinking before the meditation process as well. But with this meditation, I am able to imagine clearly step by step. So that is the change, only change I have seen. Is this good experience?
And you know what is most surprising is that GMAT doesn't even come in the scene. I mean, this is for known. This is for sure that I'm going to live this life. If I'm having a certain kind of visual, that means this is already in the 5D. This is already in the projected future. And that is why I'm able to see it. Because a part of me, because time is not linear, right?
Correct.
We sitting right in this moment can progress 10 years and see what kind of life are we going to live. And similarly, we can regress 10 years back or maybe a lifetime back. That is possible because everything is stored in our genetic memory, the past, the present, and the future. And now, when you have seen that the kind of life you are going to live, it becomes so much believable and it gives you so much of joy and happiness. It gives you a kind of peace of mind. And now, when you know that it is already being achieved, how would you like to approach GMAT from this space, from this perception? It will just take that pressure off from you. Because the end goal is not to crack GMAT. The end goal is to live the kind of life which you have seen in the visual, a very comfortable life, taking care of your parents, living in a good community, having a balanced life where personal needs and professional needs can be balanced easily. And if this has already been achieved, then GMAT will not look as monstrous as it looks now. It will be fairly easy to navigate because I know I'm already going to live this life. GMAT could be one of the way, but not the only way. And how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it is making me to feel a lot comfortable.
So, whenever you are in doubt, whenever you are under strain, remember this visual. Okay, take some time off. Remember how your life was looking in this visual 10 years down the line, the kind of life you are going to live. And 10 years down the line, you will not even be recalling your GMAT score. Just like you don't recall your 10th score now, right? It always looks easy when we look it backwards.
Good.
So now, when you have achieved and you're living that life every single day, GMAT will not look that difficult. And
Yes,
when you approach this questions, the exercises from this mindset, it will put off that strain which you are having right now. Thank you for sharing this. Anyone
ma'am,
else who would like,
do you
yeah.
have the recordings of previous sessions?
Yes, I have shared it with CJ and he has put up it in the portal in his YouTube channel, I guess. You can connect with
Oh,
him. Okay?
yeah, sure.
All the recordings are there with him.
And your story is really inspiring, so I felt
Thank you.
greatly connected. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Hitesh. Hitesh has informed that he has shared it on GMAT with CJ. Anyone else who would like to share their experience, or do you have any questions or concerns? Anything apart from the topic, if you would like me to answer? So what we exactly did in today's exercise is known as future progression. Just like we can access our past through regression, we can access the future through progression. I'm forgetting the name of the author, but he has written multiple books. One of them is like Many Lives, Many Masters, One Life, Many Masters, and which are based on past life regression, real life case studies. And in one of the books, he has shared cases of future life progression, wherein he has progressed his clients into the future and showed them how things can be. However, we don't use progression much because we don't know where the clients lands up in the future. And if that future is not very pleasant, or if it is not what they expected it to be, then it puts a lot of pressure on them. One of the participants experienced this kind of, and I have asked them to connect personally. So if one of you have also faced this experience wherein the future doesn't look that great or it scares you, then I would explore it further. Because if I'll just keep it in tandem, what will essentially happen is that it will start giving you unnecessary worries. And the reason why the future progression doesn't look that great is also because of our present and our past. So I'm sharing this with you because there is nothing to worry here. Rather, it is those subconscious anxieties and deep-seated fears which gets projected in the future. All the fears which I have been neglecting, but yet I am fearing, I'm essentially giving them the energy, feeding them in a way which is making them powerful, and one day it will become a reality. And therefore, whenever progression doesn't happen as per the expectation of the client, we essentially ask them to explore those fears and those anxieties. Some of you are working with a therapist. If you are, and if something shows up for you in this meditation or exercise, I would implore you to explore that anxiety, that uncertainty, that fear. Because once it is explored and released, a lot of space will be created inside your body, which will allow you to approach GMAT, or for that matter, any other thing in your life with a more relaxed, more calmer state than before. Many times it has also been observed that the future which we are seeing, and we especially try to explore it when it is not as very favorable. So the future which we see is often a projection of the past. Maybe growing up, you or your parents or your grandparents have witnessed or experienced this emotion, this failure, this dejection in a certain way. And you are just replicating it in your life because of the blind, unconscious love we have towards our family of origin. So, even if it is not looking as favorable, or you were not able to go through the entire exercise, and that is absolutely possible, and there is nothing to worry about here. The only thing which needs to be explored here is what is not working for me. Why is it making me feel in a certain way? What kind of emotions are it leading to? What kind of emotions and feelings am I experiencing? And when I keep on digging these questions, I may ground or I may zero down to a fear or a pain, a grief, which I am not aware consciously, but it is there in my subconscious. And essentially, this is how manifestation also work. Okay, we know a lot about law of attraction. But how this manifestation works is we visualize certain thing and we believe it to be true. Okay, so I have just used this meditation as an exercise to help you realize what you are believing in, but you're not willing to look at. So if you change your belief, you can change your future too. So this gives me a lot of power. My hands has it in control. I can decide what I choose to believe in. And believing comes very easily if we know why we want to chase it, what it gives me, what it allows me to feel. How does it connect to my soul purpose? And the deeper the connection with the soul purpose, better aligned your goals are, and the alignment creates magical results. So if something is not aligning, it's probably because it is not connected with your soul purpose. And that soul purpose is defined not only by your present life, but also by the dreams and desires of the people who have lived before you, who have come before you, and also your past lives. Okay? So, if you stay true to yourself, if you stay true to your whys, the rest of the things just fall in place. That was all from my end. If any one of you would like to share something else or have any question, we'd still have time. Otherwise, we'll wrap up. Yes, Kushbu.
Just wanted to appreciate the way you have shared your journey in a way that sometimes it's very difficult to admit things which happened in past, but you have come out brilliantly and now you are guiding people. So that is something, it takes guts to come up on such scenario. And so it also, I just got a realization with this fact that sometimes even we also don't know what we are able to do, our potential. Sometimes we also underestimate on our things, and sometimes situation doesn't fall in place because we are planning something, but things are being planned in a much better way. So that is something, thank you for guiding us in a way that we can also come up in our journey in a better way. And I have a question regarding one thing. Just want to know regarding this. I know this is a very deep concept, but of NLP, the neuro linguistic program. So, is it the same as the manifestation, or is it the is it the different? Because these days, many
Yeah.
links come up. Okay, you do this and you can achieve anything. But do you think it's a marketing thing, or does it make sense?
Okay. So thank you, first of all, for your kind words. And I guess this is not about guts, it is more about embracing and accepting myself fully with all my flaws and all my struggles. So the moment you do that, your struggles, your journey gives you a courage which no one else can give. So that is it. Now, coming to the question whether NLP or manifestation are same, no, it is not. NLP is neuro linguistic programming, which uses a lot of techniques through which you can connect to the other nervous system. For example, in NLP, there is one of the exercise wherein you mirror the body position or the body language of the other person, and what happens is the energy starts matching, the vibes start matching, and the other person becomes more receptive and more open. So, neuro linguistic programming is training the brain as well as the language, neuro and linguistic. Okay. So, this is how you connect to other nervous system by attuning yourself with the other nervous system. And one of the techniques is mirroring the body language. And therefore, you would find that, when you are really interested in someone's, your body language starts mirroring them. You might have the same kind of, like, I am leaning forward right now. And if you are truly attuning with my nervous system, you might be leaning forward in your chair too. Right? My one of my shoulder is slightly bent down. If you would notice, this happens automatically to the other person as well, the more they are attuned to the other nervous system. So it is more about forming that connection and having better communication. That is about NLP. That is the prime focus of NLP. However, manifestation is based on the concept of quantum physics. The concept of quantum physics says that the time is not linear. Past, present, and future all exist at the same time. And if time is not linear, and if all past, present, and future, all the three states, exist on the same timeline, that means whatever I'm feeling is what I have lived in the past and what I might have been living in the future. And therefore, this concept let gave birth to an idea that if time is not linear and if we can quantum jump any time, what leads to this quantum jump? What allows us to feel in a particular way? And then certain researches were carried out, and it was shown that every person wants something very specific from their life. Like, for example, one of my client, when I took them to progression, they saw themselves having a personal chopper, a private jet, and traveling to different parts of the world. They saw this part in the future progression. However, they belong to a very middle class family kind of setup. But this is already there in the quantum jump. Whether this happens in this life or it happens in future lifetimes, we don't know. Okay? That is the thing about quantum jump, that we don't know whether it is about this life or it is about the future lives ahead. But what manifestation teaches us, that if we already know that this is going to materialize in the future, what kind of beliefs I will have when I already know that it has happened? How would I approach life? What kind of beliefs I will like to keep? What kind of energy through which I will approach this life? And what happens is, when you start seeing a bright future and you have already seen it, yourself living it, the belief is cemented. And with that cemented belief, you start approaching and sending vibrations to the universe. And the stronger your vibrations get, the quantum jump is preponed. So from multiple lifetimes, it comes to this lifetime, and maybe 5 years down the line or 7 years down the line, you're going to experience it. So this is the logic behind manifestation, wherein you believe in certain thing with all your ability, with complete surrender and an undeniable faith. And the more you believe in it, it will just become your reality. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Hitesh, Yunus, Arpi, would you like to share something or do you have any questions? Okay, great. Thank you all. I will be taking your leave. Thank you very much for your time and your patient listening. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.